What's up, everybody? It's Self-Made from Self-Made FishingTV. Welcome back to the channel. And as always, if you guys like the content, please hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. But today I want to talk to you guys about bait fishing with square bill crankbaits and different colors that they have out there, sizes that are available, as well as what I'm looking for when I'm out there, where I like to throw it, how I like to work it, the rod and reel setup that I use, as well as the knot that I tie and the line that is on my setup. So let's jump right into it. As far as different sizes are concerned, you have 3 feet, 5 feet, 7 feet, and there's even a few other options that are out there. But when it comes to bait fishing, I typically stick to about 2 to 3 sizes. I have my 2 to 3 feet, my really shallow crankbaits, my medium, which would be, 3, 4, 5 feet, and then my deep, which would be 6, 7, or even deeper than that. But normally, most places that I fish are small to medium-sized lakes or ponds, and for that, I really stick to the 2 to 3 feet, and I really look at the presentation of the crankbait when I'm deciding on what's making a good crankbait for me. But you really don't know until you really try it out and get it out on the water. I've gotten some crankbaits out on the water and I really just didn't like how they worked at all. So with that being said, you also have different colors. So when you're out there, basically if I'm fishing out in the real open water, I'm gonna stick to something that's natural looking. Bluegill, shad, anything that mimics those kind of bait fish, that's kind of what I'm throwing if I'm out in the open water. If I'm gonna be closer and I see a lot of rocks as opposed to vegetation, then I normally stick to something crawl colored. And if it's dark outside, like it's becoming night and it's getting darker, then I'm gonna stick to that black and blue. As well as if the water is dirty, I'm gonna stick to black and blue, and more natural colors if the water is clear. But as far as the rod and reel setup that I use, on this rod I have a Lose speed stick. This is a medium fast action rod. It works really great when the fish hit this and I'm working it. The rod really gives for me, kind of lets them set the hook into themselves versus me setting the hook. I don't set the hook on a crankbait like I would my chatterbaits or spinner baits or any bait like that. I'm not crushing into the fish when I'm working this. If you slam into a fish with this, it's likely you're gonna pull the hook straight out of the fish. You're gonna miss a lot more fish that way. So just kind of let the rod do the work for you, get something fast action, and you'll be in great shape. As far as the reel, I have the Favorite Fishing Sick reel on this. This is a 7-1. This would be about as fast as I would go. Honestly, I would like mine to be much slower than this, probably in the 5s, maybe a 6. I've actually used some 6s this year and they've worked really well. They've worked really good as well. As far as the line goes, I have 8 tied on here now, but I could probably go down even further than that to 6 or maybe even 4. A lot of that is going to determine how your crankbait works. If you look at these and you have crankbaits that are diving 3 to 5 feet, if you're putting really, really heavy line on there, that is going to affect that, and you might not get that crankbait to dive quite as deep as you thought it might dive. You weren't using the kind of setup that it was made for. So all of that is something to keep in mind when you're out there throwing it. As far as how I work it, I mean, if I'm throwing out there way out towards the middle, then I'm just going to crank it in. Usually a real steady retrieve, and it mimics a moving bait fish. It's normally a reaction strike with the crankbaits, so that's normally how I like to work it. But most of the time where I have the greatest luck is really just throwing out along the banks, kind of just smashing your crankbait up against the rocks and doing your best not to get it stuck. Obviously, you're going to get snagged here and there, But if you can catch the snag right as it happens, usually you're in pretty good shape. Just stop, let it sit for a second, and it'll kind of pull itself out of that snag in most cases. So if you guys haven't thrown the crankbait, and I know some people have thrown it and they've kind of struggled with it, message me personally and asked, how are you catching all those fish using the crankbait? I just have no luck. I think you guys, if you get out there and try these tips that I'm telling you, I think your luck will change. I tend to have better luck with the smaller sizes. I honestly use 2 to 3 feet. If you ask anyone who fishes with me, they know that I say it, 2 to 3 feet. I don't even care if it does trigger smaller fish to bite. I have a much better time out on the water fishing it. I'm constantly catching fish. I've had trips out where I've caught 20 fish with the crankbait, and it was literally cast after cast. I'm just catching them. Yeah, I might not always bring in the biggest fish, but I've caught some 3-pounders, 3.5 pounders off the crankbait, and they are a lot of fun to bring in. I've just had a blast throwing it. I think if you haven't thrown it this year, you should get out there and give it a try. I think if you take these tips into consideration and try a few of them, I think you'll really enjoy it. But also, when you guys are tying on the crankbait, normally I'm not huge on what knot to put on there, but believe it or not, on this, I use the polymer knot, and it really does affect how this crankbait dives in the water, in my opinion. Polymer knot helps it dive a little bit deeper. You want a little bit lighter line, get it a little bit deeper. Smaller presentation, you're going to get bit with bites all day long, all night long, whatever you're fishing. I promise you'll have some fun with it. If you haven't thrown it in a while, I hope this inspired you to get out there and throw it again. And if it did, as always, leave me a comment in the comment section letting me know. I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you guys enjoyed this video, you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button for me, smash the like button, and as always, it was a pleasure having you guys. Thank you. It's Self-Made.